This has major implications for Montreal moving forward, as we got a big update on Michael Hage's status and when he plans to sign, but there's more to this grand scheme of the Habs' future than that, as Nick Suzuki, who sometimes gets lost in the shuffle with so many other good players, got nominated for an award as Marty St. Louis, Kent Hughes, Jeff Gordon, and the entire front office continue to build this team in a special way. Yes, we got prospects coming up. Yes, we have a franchise center, but the Habs are on the verge of doing something they haven't done in over 10 years and making some Habs history in the process. All of that coming up on this episode. I know we're really excited for Hage. I know we're really excited after that win against Tampa. Caufield's 50 goals, Slaf's 30. But I want to just put into perspective how good this season is, because we know the standings, Jesse, they're incredible, right? It's incredible to look at. Montreal sitting at 104 points, just 2 points back of the Atlantic Division lead, but 47 wins, right? You know, it's a tough year this year out there. There are a handful of teams who have around that win total, but where does that rank in Habs history? Jesse, we're top 10, tied for 9th all time for wins in a season. One more win, and Montreal ties, look at that year, 1992-93. Not to mention that, Jesse, if Montreal gets one more win and gets that 48-plus mark, 6 of the 8 teams that have done that in the past have went on to win a Stanley Cup. Look, I'm not saying it's a guarantee, but what I'm saying is for a franchise as historic as Montreal to see a win, like to be a top 10 version of this team already at this stage, I blew my mind when I saw that.
Safe to say that the rebuild is going according to plan. Safe to say that this team plays as a pack mentality. I love how Marty just loves to kind of really insert that kind of descriptive word when he's talking about his team, because he's been such a big part of really instilling how they all play for each other, and you feel it. And in a year where we're accomplishing such incredible milestones, Caufield's 50, Zook's on the verge of 100, Slaf hitting 30 points, like we know what Hutson, Demidov, so many others, Dobson, low-key, having an amazing year, among others, Kaiden, right? The list just keeps going on and on. Dobesh, right? Like we got to give all these guys love. Even in the midst of all of this, we're not losing sight on what the larger goal is. And I'm loving that there's like a clear, if you get and you listen to interviews with the team and with the players, the mandate within is win the division, and we want to win the conference, and then truly taking it from there. And just the fact as well, and also while wrapping up and playing that playoff style hockey. And I think that was really the true win against their most recent victory against the Tampa Bay Lightning, is showing that they can play that playoff style of hockey. And that's what everything's been building towards. The regular season's great and they have their goals, but again, they know it's about the playoffs. It's not about those individual accolades. I think that that's like what separates Montreal from so many other teams, is like where you can have the skill, but then we have the culture, and we're not going to kick other teams while they're down, especially maybe not Canadian teams, but you know who we're referring to, right? We're like, sometimes they would have the talent, but then not the culture to go along with it. And I think to really go further, you really need to have that team first mentality when you're playing for others, because obviously your team is just so much better overall than individual efforts. I think Lane Hutson, that being said though, it's like he's going to be that perfect mix of like playing that team game, but then also just knowing when as a player he needs to become that lane train to start chugging down the ice and making things happen. Like his ability to know when to make safer plays, and then really when to rush and be that difference maker, and really just his confidence and really his assertive nature, I think is going to take a really huge step up in this year's playoffs. Just want to shout him out because I think he's going to be a key performer for us.
I love this take that, like, you got to play team hockey to have success, right? But the cool thing is for guys like Lane Hutson, who has 75 points, is up there top 5 in defenseman scoring, for guys like Suzuki, who's on the verge of 100, Caufield 50, Slaf, whatever, all these guys, like, there are players that you can see are playing for themselves to try and get their own stats. I'm not going to call any names out. Some of you might have picked some players, whatever. But Montreal, playing as a team, has not only led them to a top 10 Habs season all time for wins, but it's led to personal milestones like we haven't seen in ages, like Nick Suzuki, for example. Let's get right into this topic, because Nick Suzuki has the most points ever by a Habs captain in a single season, now with 98, and there's only a handful of players ahead of him. The only names ahead of him ever for more points in a season: Lafleur, Mahavlich, Naslund, and Schutt. That's it. There are only 4 different individuals, 10 total seasons, because Guy and Mahavlich did it multiple times. But like, only that many players have ever hit 100 points in a season for the Habs, and Nick Suzuki, I don't know if he'll be able to catch up to Mahavlich at 105, but you really never know. but everything he's done, right? Being a team player, getting near 100 points, being a finalist for the King Clancy Award for leadership qualities. It's not his first time getting nominated from the Habs for this award. We talk about people that make the difference on this team, playing for everyone. He's tied for 7th in the league in points, Jesse. He's tied for 4th in the league in assists. He is going to win the Selke. He is one of the best defensive players in the world. Like, we could talk about everyone else, but at the end of the day, the heart and soul to some extent, but the core of this team is Nick Suzuki. And I feel like with all the other accolades, no one ever really forgets Nick Suzuki, but I feel like sometimes when Caufield's scoring 50, Slaf's getting his 30th, Hutson's doing flashy stuff, Dobeš is insane, it's almost easy to underrate and just, because we expect the greatness that Nick Suzuki brings every night, and I feel like sometimes we even get desensitized to the ridiculousness that is Suzuki playing hockey.
And that's why we need to talk about Nick Suzuki right now. And it's really his skill and also his leadership, which is truly at the foundation of this team and why they're accomplishing what they're doing right now. Again, we know the Montreal Canadiens are greater than the sum of their parts, right? Like obviously Martin St. Louis is playing some great factors into this as well. But really, we're looking at like Nick Suzuki as like Martin St. Louis, that coach, but now on the ice, right? And just in so many ways, like what he's able to do, 11th most productive season by a Habs ever. And just like combining that with his defensive play, now this just gets me really excited for the playoffs. Like 100-point player, Josh, like I still quite honestly can't believe like what he's doing, how he's affecting this team right now. Nick Suzuki is the reason that I do believe, I got a hot take here, that I do believe Cole Caufield's, he's not going to win the Rocket Shark. He's going to tie Nathan MacKinnon though for it. And even though the Avs, they got an extra game, they got 4 games left. And then Nathan MacKinnon's 2 goals up. Here's my take on this is Cole Caufield, he got the monkey off his back by scoring 50, right? We know he scores in bunches, and we know he scores at clutch points when it matters the most. And the team's going to be buying for some home ice advantage, playing against Columbus, playing against Islanders and the Flyers. There's going to be some opportunities, I do believe, for some goals here. So I believe like we need to get hyped around the fact, and again, that Cole Caufield can win the Rocket Richard. We don't want to rest on our laurels. It's a great season, but there's still work to be done. We know Nick Suzuki is going to be a big reason of why that happens, but like, let us know down below, like, why do we love Nick Suzuki so much? Who's your favorite player and why? We'd love to hear from you.
Oh, I'd love to see that, and I think we're going to see a ton of different names. I mean, there are flashier players than Nick Suzuki, right? But there are very few players in the league that are more effective, right? It's not always the flashiest, but it is so beyond effective. I still think he should have got more ice time for Team Canada, but that's beside the point. John Cooper got him in his nightmares after last night especially, so leave some love for Nick Suzuki, the whole squad down below, but the team's just going to keep getting better because of this incredible prospect pool that is still ranked top 10 in the league. They were 9th by The Athletic. You could argue we're a bit higher. Regardless, the number one guy that's not with the team right now, like Jacob Fowler, would be Michael Hage. And he is such a highly touted prospect. We traded up for him in the draft. But we got an update on his status. Of course, Michigan did lose in the Frozen Four yesterday in overtime to the University of Denver. It was a heartbreaking, heart-crushing, gut-wrenching, as Cam Robinson from Elite Prospect says, loss. A gut-wrenching way to end his season. But he was not expecting to hear word on Michael Hage today. And as of the recording of this video, nothing has happened. Decision to likely come over the weekend. And that has been corroborated by a few different people that the Habs have not yet reached out and tried to figure out the contract. But we know now, almost certainly this weekend, Jesse, because we're looking towards, we always kind of anticipated Michigan would go far. Yes, they got upset. It's fine. We were kind of eyeing that Tuesday game against Philly anyway. Now, the thing is, Hage clearly was playing hurt. Though he did pick up an assist in that game. You could see he did get 1 assist on the board, 2 shots. He was laboring out there a little bit. So he might not be fully healthy. Now, the Habs have a few options. You can sign him to an amateur tryout in Laval and then just sign him to his ELC later to still burn that first year. It's what James Hagens did this year. But Jesse, I have to imagine that, part of me just thinks if he is injured and he's not able to draw into the lineup, Montreal has had a little bit of a habit of keeping their guys around the main roster when they're recovering from injuries. So I start to wonder if maybe when this contract does get done, you just keep him with the big club until he rehabs and you figure things out from there, even if that does mean you can't send him down to Laval to get some extra reps.
Oh, yeah. Everybody's hurt this time of year, whether it's NCAA or the NHL. Michael Hage is going to be pumped to get his reps in because it really seems like this is a date with destiny here with the Montreal Canadiens after being drafted. We know just an amazing history and story behind that. Josh, at long last, the Montreal Canadiens are getting their 2C.
Yeah.
Now, I don't want to get ahead of myself so quick. Like, Michael Hage is going to work in that. And again, like, no disrespect to Oliver Kapanen, because he's obviously been playing some great hockey. But the Montreal Canadiens are getting an infusion of talent right now that few other teams don't get. We see Boston, they're getting James Hagen. That's great. But, like, Michael Hage is truly one of the best prospects not currently in the NHL. Going to change really quickly. I am of the opinion he's ready for the show. This guy's got skill out the wazoo. He's got that compete with him. That's a guy you want to insert. You want him as part of your playoff roster here going forward. I think he's going to start on that third line, but I think there's going to be an opportunity for him, as we saw last night, potentially on that second line to move up there. I think that this is a guy that can have a huge impact on this team right away. There's some guys that you think maybe they're not ready and they kind of need to work up to it. I think because of the skill and, again, the compete that Michael Hage has, that's why he's going to be ready for the playoffs here with the Montreal Canadiens.
I'm so excited because it does kind of feel like that second line, Kapanen kind of coming in and out, Texier jumping in, Newhook sometimes. Feels like there's just a placeholder there, you know? They can't really figure it out. There's a puzzle piece that's missing, and they're just trying to force different puzzle pieces in there. Now, I will say, since Texier's been with Demidov, that line has felt pretty dominant in the offensive zone, but I don't think that's a long-term solution. It really does feel like it's Hage's future. And again, will it be right away? Probably not. I think that's a whole lot of pressure for a guy recovering from an injury after a devastating season, and Montreal, who has a lot of vets there, but it's going to happen sooner than later. Keep an eye out for this weekend. Michael Hage to sign, and playing with the Habs as early as next week. It's an incredibly exciting time. That will do it, but everything just keeps looking up. It just gets better every day, and that's what we love most about this team. Thank you for tuning in every single day. I'm Josh Gosse, my co-host, Jesse Poirier. We'll catch you in the next one.